Welcome to the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. Brad and Josh here on a President's Day weekend. Getting ready to break down some tight ends. Oh yeah, we're all excited. Good thing it's a short week.
I'm here. Love you guys. I'm excited about this. We're going to talk about some tight ends, and we're going to talk about some news that had happened throughout the week, and, anything else that really comes across our brains. So, let's jump right into it. So we'll start with some news. First thing we'll talk about is Joe Flacco was traded
For a 4th-round draft pick.
to the Denver Broncos. So they will be going in with like their 5th or 4th season in a row with a new quarterback. Case Keenum, you done, son.
Isn't his contract guaranteed, Case Keenum's?
It's like $7 million worth of it is.
Oh, okay.
They'll carry that cap hit no matter what. The rest of it,
Are they going to keep Case Keenum, you think?
no, they're going to trade him. I think they're going to trade him to Washington.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
No, they need a little stopgap.
They do, but I don't know if Washington can afford another
Oh,
multi-million-dollar quarterback.
well, Denver can, so Washington probably can.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't like it either. The only difference between Joe Flacco and Case Keenum is Joe Flacco's taller.
And older.
Yep. So, good job, John Elway. Pretty pumped about this.
Who's he going to be throwing to?
The young guys, Cortland Sutton, Deshaun Hamilton. We got some young.
They're going to have to bring somebody else in.
Yeah, because Emmanuel Sanders ain't playing next year. I'm not going to be surprised if he gets cut. Demarius got cut by the Texans.
And then he got in a wreck.
And then he got in a wreck back in Denver. That's what you get for trying to go back to your hometown. Probably can't drive with that torn Achilles.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what happens. Some other things, some interesting things. So this is something that we haven't really talked about too much on the show. But Antonio Brown, this drama, the Steelers really are the Kardashians. So this is what Antonio Brown said about Ben Roethlisberger. He was doing a simple Q&A on Twitter, and he said, players know about Ben Roethlisberger and how he has a bad relationship. They said, players know, but they can't say anything about it. Otherwise, their meal ticket is gone. It's a dirty game within a game. So basically what they're saying is that, this is something that we've talked about before, is that Big Ben does call people out. I don't like him for it. And it kind of makes the other players look bad.
Big Ben does a lot. Like, even not even off the field, on the field stuff. He calls audibles when the coaches obviously don't want audibles being called. He changes the play. You could have seen it back when Todd Haley was there and other coordinators. Like, Todd Haley was the most vocal about it. And I think that's what changed a lot. He was literally saying, like, Ben, you have to let the ball get ran. Stop trying to throw it every time. You're going to die.
Well, I mean, he did just fine this year. They won the Super Bowl this year, right? Oh, no, they didn't. Because Ben knows it all. Yeah.
So AB's gone.
AB's definitely gone.
And Le'Veon Bell's gone.
Definitely gone.
What does this do for the rest of that offense?
It helps Juju by hurting Juju. So it hurts Juju by helping Juju.
There you go. That's what I was like, hold on.
So it's essentially the same thing. Juju will get put outside as opposed to being in the slot.
And get the blanket coverage now.
Yes.
Get the number one corner.
Yep. So maybe James Washington will be a little bit better.
I mean, he can't be worse than what he was last year.
He's just a rookie. I mean, he's what? Okay.
What about James Conner, though? Honestly, because now there's Juju, and that's really it in the wide receiver core.
I think it helps James Conner a little bit. He's going to get some more passing down work, but I wouldn't be surprised if this offense takes a step back next year. You can't take one of the best receivers in all of football and say that your offense is going to be better.
I wonder if we would have had a fantasy podcast about when did they trade Mike Wallace? Like 10 years ago?
Yeah.
If we had been saying the same thing about Mike Wallace, though. Honestly, though, because think about it.
Yeah. I mean, they do have a history of letting their receivers go. I mean, it's happened.
Antonio Holmes,
Emmanuel Sanders, Plaxico Burress. I mean, it's just year after year after year, and they keep reloading at the position. So maybe they will be fine. I'm not really sure, man. I just know I'm over the Steeler drama, dude. I'm over it.
Yeah.
I just want them to get around to playing some football. I'm kind of just ready for the new Steelers to be like Ben gone, Le'Veon gone, AB gone. I just want some Steelers that are going to go out there and shut up and play football. But to me, it means that Mike Tomlin really does not have control of his team.
But he won't get fired because the Steelers don't fire coaches.
They don't. They really don't. Something else happened this week. Mark Walton, the backup running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, was arrested.
So this is the running back we're going to talk about first? This is the running back news we're going to talk about first.
I mean, what do you want to talk about?
I mean, we can talk about Mark Walton getting arrested. We don't know what's going on. It's been very sketchy. And
you want to talk about Trent Richardson? Got a touchdown for the Birmingham Iron?
No, not Trent Richardson.
Whew.
And not
Zach Stacy.
Not Zach Stacy either.
He's the first running back to run for over 100 yards in the AAF. Zach Stacy of the St. Louis Rams, because that's where they were when he played for them. No? You want to talk about him either? Okay. Well, who do you want to talk about?
Kareem Hunt.
Oh, Kareem Hunt?
He got signed.
That guy. Yeah, he's going to get signed to be the kicker.
Okay. You got the drops of it. You could have hit that.
Do we have that?
You should hit a boo drop on yourself there.
Do we have that?
We have a laugh track one.
Yeah, but we don't have the drum one.
The joke. Here's the joke.
Oh, we do. The whole time.
Do.
Oh, I got to figure out how to work this thing. Amateur. I'm an amateur.
Okay, so he's not the kicker, and he's signed by the Browns. He's going to be very cheap. He's good. If he plays this year, he will be suspended for the first half.
Easily, yeah.
Is there any way you would draft him outside of anything super deep IDP league or anything like that in a redraft format? Not dynasty, but in any type of redraft format.
This always draws the line of like, do you want to win or do you want to be morally correct? And
I don't even care about that. Let's take the morals out of it, because honestly, we can all say we weren't there. We don't know what happened. I've heard rumors on both sides of the stories what happened.
I mean, I saw him kick that chick.
But we saw the hit. So nobody likes that. Nobody.
Ray Rice, we saw that.
Yeah, and everybody's like, it doesn't matter what they do. You know, a female does, you shouldn't be hitting a female. Whatever. Let's put that out. Let's just talk about in between the white lines, football stuff, without even knowing his suspension. But guessing it's probably going to be 5 to 6 games at least.
If he's my 5th running back,
okay,
yes, but
even are you even going to keep him? Like, let's say week 1 comes around, he's on a 6-game suspension. Let's just use 6. I've heard anywhere upwards to 10 to 12, all the way down to 4. But let's just say 6. He's your 5th running back, who's behind Nick Chubb in the depth chart, right? Because I think Freddie Kitchens likes Nick Chubb.
Well, I think whenever you're taking, your 5th running back, your 5th wide receiver, whatever, you're taking shots, right?
But are you going to drop him for the hot waiver wireness of the first week?
No, done that before. That doesn't really pan out, bud. 2 years ago, I dropped a guy named Alvin Kamara, and he turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm a little more cautious with that now. I understand some people, especially if you're not being successful right away, or like you feel the urge to just try and change your team, try and do something, drop this dead weight, but somebody will draft him, and we know the talent that he has. I don't know if they're going to use him or not, but I don't think.
Would you draft him, and would you hold on to him for the whole 6 weeks? Especially, let's say, week 1, Nick Chubb comes out, he rushes for 150 yards and like 3 touchdowns.
I think it depends on how Nick Chubb is playing, right? So if Nick Chubb is coming out there, they're not really using Duke Johnson. They're using Nick Chubb to catch the ball. He is the 3-down back, and he's being successful. I think you look at Kareem Hunt and you're saying, okay, I'm going to go in another direction after drafting him. But if they're struggling, they're not winning, they're not being successful with what they have, I think you have to hold on to him.
Okay. And then you brought him up, Duke Johnson. Is he done in Cleveland?
I don't think so. They actually paid him last year. I don't think he's done, but I'm not really sure if they know what to do with him.
Are we going to get the reports that they're going to put him at wide receiver a lot again this year, like we get every year?
They might, because they don't have anyone outside of Jarvis.
Okay.
Before we were thinking this team was an all-star team when they had Gordon and Landry and Njoku, and now they got nothing. So we'll see what happens. Kareem Hunt might not play at all next year.
Yeah, we got to wait, see what suspensions come down. If he even gets a suspension, or they just throw him on the commissioner exempt list. For how long? Whoever knows how long.
Yeah, he might not play at all. But if he plays, 8 games, I will take a shot at him. But I'm not going to be depending on him.
Okay.
All right, so we'll move on next. How about Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reid settled their case with the NFL?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is there's a gag order on it. They both agreed to take the money and not talk about what happened. So it really makes you wonder. Teddy Bruschi even came out and said, what makes you wonder really what they were trying to accomplish with this? Because before, Teddy Bruschi's like, okay, they're fighting the system, they're going to make it and air all the NFL's dirty laundry out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as they sign that gag order saying they're not going to talk about it, they legally can't talk about it.
Yep.
So now they just took the money, and I don't know all the ins and outs of the case, but we'll see. He wants $30 million or $20 million to play at AAF.
It reminds me of the so a long time ago, there was this guy named Chris Kyle, and he was the American Sniper, right? So there was a suit with him against Jesse the Body Ventura, former governor of Minnesota, and he says, it's not about the money. And then, 2 years down the road, he settled out of court.
Money talks a lot. But
he was talking about, it's my image. And then in the same interview, he talks about, my bank account says that I'm right. I'm like, but legally, you didn't win, so you're not right. Money really is the root of what these people are trying to achieve. Yeah. I think Colin Kaepernick knew that he wasn't going to get another big payday no matter what.
I think the report coming out that he asked for $20 million from the AAF to play in a league that only plays everybody $250,000 a game.
I think that's because he knew he was about to get paid from the NFL. But he didn't want to play for the AAF.
But we also heard that was the reason why he wasn't getting signed by a lot of teams, was he was wanting guaranteed big money. He wanted Aaron Rodgers money to sign with teams. He wasn't taking any cheap deals to go sign with teams. There were teams that called him out and he worked out for it.
He's an idiot.
No, he's not. He got paid.
Yeah,
we'll never know how much, but he got paid.
All right, so just a little quick tip. Team LeBron beat Team Giannis in the All-Star game. 178-164.
Yeah, obviously some big defense when play there. I'm just going to talk about my Kentucky guy, Hamdi Diallo, jumping over Shaq and Vince Carter in the rim.
That was cool. That was actually very cool. The Bills also let go of Charles Clay. Do you care?
Hey, we're talking about tight ends.
I mean, it's relevant, I guess.
He was good with Tyrod.
David Johnson is expected to run the ball a lot more than what people are thinking.
I don't even know what that statement means. Do you know what that statement means? Like, we're going to run it more than you think we're going to run it.
That lets me know that they are not going to run it that much.
Or does that tell me that you think I'm thinking, I don't think I know, you know what I know, I think you know what I think I know, you don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what you're talking about right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing. Okay, so let's get into this tight end rankings. We'll talk about... Yeah, it's not great.
The top three are going to be fun. Well, top four are going to be fun to talk about. Then after that, it's going to get pretty rough.
We'll talk about these guys. We'll talk about regression. So we're in PPR, of course. Your number one tight end, Mr. Travis Kelce. He had 150 targets, 103 receptions. He caught 68% of his passes. He actually held the NFL record for most receiving yards in a season for all of about half an hour at 1,336 yards, 10 touchdowns. I mean, what can you say? He had a great year. He was averaging 18.4 points per game, 294 points overall in PPR.
And he would have been the number 9 wide receiver. And I'm going to do a lot of that with these guys and tell you where they'd rank as wide receivers. Because I think when you're going to drafts, you're taking a lot more wide receivers probably instead of taking a tight end. And me and you both talk about waiting on tight end. But there's reasons to grab these guys early. Because he went before Mike Evans.
Yep.
And he probably got drafted after Mike Evans. And a lot of other players underneath him. Like Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Brandon Cooks, Odell.
Do you want to pull up ADP right now?
I'm going to get ADP up.
I got it right now.
Oh, do you? Okay.
You know I do.
What was his ADP? Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce's ADP. We're going down the list, boys. Travis Kelce was 29th overall. He had an ADP of 28.2. Players that went before him. Royce Freeman. How'd that work out for you? T.Y. Hilton. We know that he outscored T.Y. Hilton. Gronk. Feeling good about that? No? Jordan Howard. Devonta Freeman. A.J. Green. These are guys who went before him.
Yeah, and he
outscored them both.
Outscored a lot of them.
Yep. So, just goes to show you, if you hit...
And I think Travis Kelce is a pretty safe tight end to take if you're going to take a tight end early. We'll talk about some of these guys that may have not been the guys to take early that got taken early.
Yeah, well,
Jimmy Grahams of the world.
So there were he had a couple of games where
Week 1.
Week 1 was really the only game where he hurt you.
Yeah. It was like a 2-point or something, or 0.
Every other game, he got you at least 10 points. So from a tight end's perspective in this season, that's amazing. You're going to take that every time. He had one big blow-up game for 38 points, but you'll take the 29-point games and the 20-point games. I mean, Travis Kelce was about as consistent as they come this year, and a solid tight end. Do you have him as your number 1 tight end overall next year?
Travis Kelce?
Yeah. Or would you go with Ertz?
It's probably still Travis Kelce because we've already talked about that Kansas City offense. You want a piece of it. And he's the other guy there.
You want a piece.
He's that second guy there. Tyreek Hill's the number 1. He's the number 2.
You don't think Sammy's the number 2?
No.
Well, he's getting paid like he's the number 1. Hey.
Yeah, but when you're not paying your quarterback, you can pay these other guys. We saw it with Seattle. We're seeing it with the Rams.
All right. That pretty much sums it up. Travis Kelce, we don't see any regression coming from him next year. He is incredible. I think Travis Kelce is going to continue to be great next year. Now, moving on. Mr. Zach Ertz. What you got on Zach Ertz?
So he would have been the number 10 wide receiver.
Pretty good.
And I know he had at least one ginormous game. The Monday Night Football game.
He had an ADP of 38.9 in PPR. So he went even after.
Almost Travis. A full round after Travis Kelce.
Yep.
So when we talk about taking tight end late, when we talk about draft strategies, we're talking about the fringe guys. Not the Travis Kelce's. And the Zach Ertz even. He played all the games this year, which is nice. I think it's the first time this season or in his career. He's played every game. And I mean, I can break down the numbers. You had 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. You know, I mean, he had a fumble. Didn't even lose it, though. 17.5 points per game. You got his game-by-game breakdown up there?
I do. There was a couple of concerning games. Week 11 against New Orleans, he hurt you really bad. And then he kind of didn't show up in the playoffs. He showed up championship week, which was great for you. But week 14 against Dallas, 8.8. And then against the Rams in week 15, 5 points.
But even that, when we talk tight ends, like the guys that you're going to be guessing on to get you that, you're happy. Like when Kyle Rudolph gets you 8 points, you're happy.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest difference, though, when we're talking about, 1 and 2, right? So you see that, yes, he had a big 40-point game, but he did not.
When did Carson Wentz go down?
Carson Wentz went down about this time. So week 14 is when he fell off, and I want to say that's about when Carson
Nick Foles came back in there and started targeting wide receivers. So, and that's something we've seen is that Carson Wentz really relies on the tight ends. He was getting Dallas Garza involved. He was getting Zach Ertz involved.
Mm-hmm.
Alshon wasn't doing much. Golden Tate didn't do anything. Then Nick Foles comes along, and you see the wide receiver numbers go up and the tight end numbers dip a little bit.
Yeah.
Similar to what we talked about with Jameis and Ryan Fitzmagic.
Okay.
Very similar to that. And we don't have to worry about Nick Foles being there next year.
No, he will definitely not be there next year. I just think for me, if I'm trying to debate, which guy I want, looking at this, I think I'd still want Kelce more than I would.
Yeah.
And that's not to take anything away from Ertz. He's a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
But
you know who Kelce's quarterback's going to be. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes.
And you know that he's going to be real good.
He's going to be slinging it.
Next guy on the list. This is the guy I'm expecting to have a very different season next year. Could be better. Could be worse. But George Kittle, 258 points. It puts him roughly 22 points behind Zach Ertz.
Yep, and he's the number 12 wide receiver.
Number 12 wide receiver. He had
number 13 wide receiver. He was 2 points behind Keenan Allen.
He has the record for most receiving yards in a season from a tight end now. He did beat out Travis Kelce. 1,377 yards, 88 receptions, only 136 targets, but he caught a lot of them. The big difference between him and the other guys is he only had 5 touchdowns, the other ones having 8 and 10 respectively.
But let's look at quarterback play.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's...
When we talk about quarterback play here, he had... started off good with, good old Jimmy G. And then that quit happening.
Well, an ACL will do that too.
Okay. And then they brought in C.J. Beathard.
Yeah, he wasn't very good.
And who was the guy they finished the season off with?
Mullins? Was it Nick Mullins?
Yeah.
Hey, I remembered that. Yeah, good for me.
So good old Nick Mullins, who he did serviceable job, but
he was doing better than
he was feeding, Kittle the ball,
which you weren't sad about.
No, I was not at all. And Kittle's still young. I am nervous about the injuries because he did have lingering injuries all year.
Mm-hmm.
But the 49ers were beat up as a whole team, and he had to play throughout a lot of stuff.
The dude's only 25.
He is only 25. But he started the season with that separated shoulder. Remember, so that's...
Yeah, but I mean, everyone in San Francisco gets hurt.
Yep, must be in the water.
Everyone in San Francisco got hurt. And he really paid off with his ADP. I mean, he wasn't even one of the top tight ends taken. I'll tell you where he was at. Just a moment.
He was super low because of the shoulder injury.
He was taken 132nd. That was his ADP of 132. So Jack Doyle went above him, Jordan Reed, Delaney Walker, Kyle Rudolph, Trey Burke. I mean, everybody.
And that's just tight ends you're talking about.
Yeah, these are just tight ends.
You're not even talking about the Larry Fitzgeralds and
132. I mean, everyone went ahead of him.
Yeah.
So, and you got a top 3 tight end out of him. You're pretty stoked about that.
So, what do you think of this offense next year?
So, looking at
Jimmy G, who should be good, right? I mean, he had an early ACL injury as a quarterback. You feel like he should be back to start the season, right?
You would think.
Then you got Jarrett McKinnon, who that was even before the season even started. So you think he should be back with the burrito?
I really am. I mean, Marquise Goodwin will be healthy.
They did get rid of Pierre Garçon.
Was a non-factor anyway. I honestly, as much as I like Kittle, I'm expecting a little bit of regression, at least from the yardage standpoint.
Because he won't be the only show in town.
He won't.
But that could help him out, though, too. I mean,
it could. I mean, it could open the field up whenever they have more of their playmakers out there.
And those 7-yard catches didn't hurt him this season either, where he would just take one and just run straight down the field.
No. I mean, not at all. And he was getting targeted a decent amount by your boy. Yeah, by Jimmy Handsome. 9 targets. They had that bad game against Detroit in the second week, but then 7, 8, 7, 6.
And the shoulder was still a lingering issue that early in the season.
Yeah, but even with those targets, like for your tight ends, you're pretty happy with that. I mean, he still had good games, man. I'm not out on George Kittle. I think he's still going to be great this year, and he only busted in 3 games this season, so
all right,
I'll take him.
Number 4, Eric Ebron.
Also expecting some regression.
Yeah, so when we talk about 13 touchdowns for a tight end with only 750 yards.
He was second in the NFL with receiving touchdowns, only to Antonio Brown.
Yeah, and he only caught 66 passes.
Didn't need to catch any more when you got 13 touchdowns. 750
He did have a
yards.
rushing touchdown, even though he rushed for negative yards on the season.
Hey, it doesn't matter.
Still counts.
Still counts. But he was he was 72 points behind your number 1 guy, even 36 points behind Kittle. So
he was 1/10 of a point behind Tyler Lockett, number 16, which you should know very well because you're shaving your head next year when he finishes 16.
Dude, there's no way. All right, anyway. I'll double down right now. I don't care. No, Eric Ebron, he's going to regress. Jack Doyle will be back in the fold next year. Whenever Jack Doyle came back for that one game and he was healthy, he was immediately involved. I still expect him to be involved a little bit, even though Eric Ebron is the show. You know he's going to get some touchdowns. I'm expecting probably around 6 or 7. And the yardage, I think, will be relatively the same because they don't have anyone to throw the ball to.
Well, I think – so we brought this up, I think, before when we talked about Ebron. I heard it on the broadcast, was the difference between Andrew Luck and Matthew Stafford. Was Andrew Luck throws a pass to Eric Ebron, he drops it or, does one of those boneheaded things and doesn't catch the ball. Andrew Luck will go to him the next play, where Matthew Stafford may have looked away from him. Would have looked to one of those 3 wide receivers he had. And Luck was like, no, I don't care. You're the mismatch. I'm firing this thing in there, and you're going to catch it.
Yeah.
So Andrew Luck loves using his tight ends. I still think he'll be a top 10 tight end next year.
Well, yeah, the landscape is.
You don't have any doubts about that, do you?
No.
Okay.
But I'm expecting a bigger fall off from where he is now. He still had games where he busted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He busted in the semifinal round and the championship round of the playoffs.
Because he was very touchdown dependent. I mean, he was almost like Jimmy Graham the year prior.
Yeah.
Very similar to Jimmy Graham from the year prior.
Yeah, so he has an opportunity to still bust on you, but once again, still very young. He's the same age as Kittle.
Yeah. But it seems like he's been in the league forever, right?
Well, Kittle came in 2017. Ebron came in 2014.
Yeah, he's been in the league 3. He's on a second team.
This is his 5th season this year coming up. Amazing. Anyway.
All right. These next couple guys, I kind of want to lump all together.
Well, you can't lump everyone together.
Well, we'll talk about the next 3 together. Jared Cook, Austin Hooper, Kyle Rudolph. And maybe it's wrong to put Jared Cook in this mix with them.
Yeah, I feel very differently about him. But he was the last guy to get over 100 targets.
But the problem with Jared Cook is I don't know what that offense is going to be next year. I don't know if Derek Carr is going to be there. I don't know what wide receivers they're going to throw out on the field. I don't know if John Gruden's still playing the long play on this and still waiting to win 4 more years on the road. I mean, he's got 9 more years left. 1 down, 9 to go.
Still tanking, baby.
You know, I don't know if he's waiting until he gets to Vegas to win.
Oh.
Because they don't even know what they're going to play this year. So,
got to tank, baby. Got to tank.
So, yeah, I mean, Jared Cook maybe is not right. He did average 12 points a game. He had some very, very good games. He had some dud games, but this is tight ends. Like, have a lot of dud games. But he had some very good games.
Yeah. He busted on you half the time, essentially.
Which, tight end wise, okay.
Yes, you were happy when you got the ups. You were sad when you got the downs, but, you know, it was what it was. Tight ends, they sucked this year, man. So Jared Cook, yes. Kyle Rudolph, he felt like he was much worse than finishing 7th overall. And Austin Hooper, 6 seems like it's high.
But even, so Jared Cook, sorry, going back to that, he would still be the 23rd wide receiver.
What?
You're still talking?
Are you talking about PPR?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, he is right behind Emmanuel Sanders, above Adam Humphries.
That's crazy. This is crazy talk.
Yeah, so he's borderline wide receiver 2 still.
Yeah.
I mean, tight end's a lot different than wide receiver. Wide receiver may give you a little more consistent for some of these guys, where tight end's like up and down and very sporadic. Because we even talked about George Kittle had bad games.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so, okay, we'll just lump in Austin Hooper, Kyle Rudolph together. I think those two can kind of go together.
Yeah, those guys definitely go together.
Very weird. So Rudolph really didn't do anything. Hooper, I think, had a few good games, right? But it's nothing good. He only had 4 touchdowns.
So depressing.
Mm-hmm. So I just don't even know what to do. Like, next year, which one are you taking? If you had to take one of these guys, would you take Hooper ahead of Rudolph?
Oh, all right, so I'm going to look. So a big telling thing for me is how you finish, right? Mm-hmm. Hooper was inconsistent the entire season.
He is. Every year he's inconsistent.
Yeah, I don't like Hooper. I don't think I've ever...
I think he's more of like a bye-week filling guy that you want to plug in there and just pray that you catch him on the right week.
And we're talking about a top tight end here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 6 overall.
Yep, and you just want to use him to fill in.
Fill in. Well, there's a 30-point fall from Jared Cook to Austin Hooper.
Yep. And even Rudolph didn't finish great. He had that big game against Detroit, but that's really what boosted his entire season. I don't want either one of these guys, but if you're forcing me to take one, judging on how they perform throughout the season, I guess I'll take Hooper.
Okay.
And I don't feel
because I don't think Kirk Cousins is looking Kyle Rudolph's way. I think he wants no part of Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, I don't understand.
He's got good wide receivers for the first time in his career.
That's true.
You know, like everyone's like, oh, he used the tight end so much. Well, he didn't really have wide receivers there.
I was expecting Kyle Rudolph to have a great year, and he didn't.
Yeah. So Trey Burton, David Njoku.
My boy. Still finished.
Which one?
Trey Burton.
Okay.
Still finished as a tight end 1.
Those little 1-yard touchdown catches really help you out, don't they?
Oh, dude, don't they ever.
Because Hooper and Rudolph both had 4 touchdowns. Trey Burton had 6.
Yep.
He only had 50 catches, 569 yards, and really nothing after that.
Well, his 5 touchdowns came in the first half of the season.
Yeah. They were on those little gadget plays they had.
Yep. And then they really started to go away from him, especially when Trubisky went down. That hurt him a little bit. But he was hot in the beginning of the season a little bit, and then he just never really stayed with it, man. It was
So
Very depressing season. I'm expecting a better season.
And we even saw like touchdowns from Adam Shaheen and these other tight ends when Trey Burton was healthy. He did have some injuries. He played every game, but he had these weird injuries where like he wasn't on the field that much.
I'm expecting a better season for Trey Burton next year.
Do you think with another year of Mr. Trubisky in this offense?
That's what I'm anticipating. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm hoping because he's so talented. But they have a great offensive team, man.
And he can throw touchdown passes. Let him do it.
I mean, he's thrown more than Jared Goff in the Super Bowl.
Oh, snap.
Crushed it. All right, got it that time. Now I know where that button's at. All right.
And then David Njoku. So his second half, it was better than his first half, right? I'm trying to remember back here. I'm pretty sure the second half of the year when Baker was a little better, Njoku did it a little bit better.
Actually, his first half was better.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I don't know what to think about that. This is kind of, remember we talked about this in the early season with Jarvis Landry and tight ends, like, does Jarvis Landry, because of the routes he runs, take away from the tight end?
It appeared that it did.
And maybe even, so Baker's a shorter quarterback too. So I wonder, being a shorter quarterback, seeing the tight end who's not that far down the field, who might be right behind your lineman and the defensive lineman, are you less likely to make that pass and maybe make the one outside, deeper pass?
No, Baker will sling it.
He'll sling it in there. But you understand what I'm saying. Like it's harder to see being an under 6 foot quarterback.
He's under 6 foot. He's 6 foot, bro. Yes, he is.
Yeah, maybe that's what they listed him as. Okay.
Yeah, just like Kyler Murray's 5'10".
Yep. In stilts.
Yeah, he's 5'8". All right, so anyway, these are all guys, like at this point, when you get down to this portion of tight ends, you're playing matchups.
Yeah.
And
there is one guy, and I'm going to dive down the list, and this might kind of throw you off.
Okay.
To bring him up, because I want to bring him up before we finish out the top 10, because I think had he been healthy the whole year, he would have been a top 10 tight end. O.J. Howard. Only played 10 games.
Yes.
He averaged 12 points a game.
Yep.
Now, Bruce Arians is coming in there. Bruce Arians really hasn't ever utilized a tight end that much, but I don't think he had O.J. Howard talent.
He would have finished as a tight end 6.
Had he finished the year out?
Had he finished his year out. He would have beat out Hooper.
Yeah, and I think this is a guy we need to bring up because I do think that had he been healthy, he would have had an amazing year.
Yeah.
I know Cameron Brate's there, but
no, Cameron Brate, their roles kind of reversed a little bit this year where O.J. Howard was the receiving guy and Brate was the blocking guy.
And the goal line guy. I think Brate stole some goal line touchdowns.
He did.
But for the most part, O.J. Howard is even in there to block. So I think Bruce Arians, the way he uses talent, he's going to use O.J. Howard.
Absolutely. I mean, he still finishes a 14th tight end overall, and the guy only had 48 targets. So
5 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you, like, he is going to be a useful guy. And I think Bruce Arians, a lot of people say, well, he doesn't use tight ends, but when you have
Jermaine
a tight
Gresham had some decent years under Bruce Arians. Like,
and he has not had a tight end with the talent of O.J. Howard.
Yeah.
And I'm
not going to say he's going to be he's going to break that top 3 mold, the top 3 guys.
No. But if you're looking down this list, right, and you're looking at the guys talent-wise who could do it, this is the guy. This is the guy who could be next year's Kittle.
Yeah, and if you look, even the guy that's one spot up on him, number 13 overall, Evan Ingram, only played 11 games. And we were like, Evan Ingram's having a bad year. He was banged up. He was hurt. We all know Eli's not what Eli is. Yeah. I mean, he didn't have what his rookie year was, but I don't think anybody expected that rookie year to be the same.
No, I think we expected regression this year.
Yeah, but had he would have been right behind O.J. Howard, above Austin Hooper. He would have been that top 8.
Yeah.
Had they been healthy for the full season. So
he would have been 7th.
He's another guy that I want to take over these guys. And I kind of want to bring them up just because I think they deserve to get mentioned up there and not once we get out of 10.
Another problem with Evan Ingram, too, though, was the Odell Beckham situation. He's better without Odell Beckham being there.
Well, that's okay because Eli, when he's under duress, is going to say, sling it. And the Saquon Barkley factor may take away from Evan Ingram, honestly, because he's the check down now instead of Evan Ingram being the check down. But I still think the way that offense is, with the fact that even with Saquon, they can't run the ball consistently, and they have to throw it, and they're going to be down because their defense is bad.
Yes.
Evan Ingram's going to get targets.
And we'll see who the quarterback is in New York. I think Eli
stays there another year.
They're going to lump it one more year. And then hopefully.
And I don't understand why everybody's dogging on that. Like, all the stuff I've heard is like, why didn't they go out and get one of these Sam Darnold? They could have had a quarterback. And I'm like, they need, like, Saquon's really amazing.
Yeah, and is that really an upgrade?
Yeah, you guys.
Baker was the only upgrade.
And he wasn't on the board when they got there. And I don't even know if because Baker has a really good offensive line.
Yeah.
Eli does not have an offensive line.
Well, they put a couple of
tackling dummies?
Stuffed animals up there.
Tackling dummies up in front of him?
Pretty much, yeah. It wasn't good.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I think if they do what the Cowboys did, right? Tony Romo was getting killed every year. What did the Cowboys do? Did they go out and get another quarterback? No, they went out and they got offensive linemen. They went out and got Zeke when they fell and got that. So they got their Saquon. Now they go and fill that offensive line up. Everyone's like, they should go get a quarterback. No, why?
Yeah, why?
You've already paid Odell. It's not like Odell's leaving.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. So people to keep an eye out for, and I'm not expecting him to do anything next year. Greg Olsen. He said he's going to come back and play next year. Don't bite on the name. I'm expecting that to be full on. Now, there is a guy who you do
Gronk?
Nope. There's a guy whose name you need to remember, even though we're not going to talk about him because he did literally nothing this year. Mr. Hunter Henry.
Yeah, he was hurt. He was actually never went to the IR this year.
Nope.
He was on the PUP, and he actually got activated from the PUP for the playoffs.
Yep.
So he could have maybe possibly played. He was suited up and everything for the playoffs.
I think Hunter Henry is going to be a tight end 1 next year, possibly a top 5 tight end next year.
Okay.
Antonio Gates is not long for this world.
So we stopped at 9. So I just want to bring up the next 3 guys. Vance McDonald, Rob Gronkowski, Jimmy Graham.
Gross.
So even with Vance McDonald, with Antonio Brown leaving, does that help him a little bit maybe in Pittsburgh?
No.
Big Ben's never really relied on tight end.
Big Ben's a dick.
Okay, there it is. Would you rather have a guy like Chris Herndon over all these guys, who actually had a pretty good game towards the end of the season there?
Chris Herndon?
Yeah, the Jets.
Yeah, actually, I would love to have Chris Herndon, especially over some of these guys we're talking here. I mean,
would you rather have him over Hooper and Rudolph?
They're in the same vein, really.
The thing with the Jets is I don't see a consistent possession wide receiver there.
I don't see anything consistent about the Jets.
Exactly. So Herndon could be that guy, maybe.
Well, the issue with the Jets is their coach now, Adam Gase, takes everything that's good about a team and he says, I don't want to do that.
But he'll get them to like 9 wins.
Which I don't understand.
Is he the new Jeff Fisher? Is Adam Gase the new Jeff Fisher? Honestly, because it's mediocre, keeps him his job. He never really uses players right.
Yeah, I think so. We're going to see how good Miami is this year without him around, but I expect Miami to
Do you still have the wheel of tight end?
Do
you still have the tight end wheel? Can you spin it for us, see which tight end of Baltimore we talk about?
Okay.
All right, we're going to spin it. He didn't know this was coming, guys. So
I did, but I still have it.
Yeah.
Because you can't let go of the decision wheel.
Let's spin the decision wheel here, see which Baltimore tight end we want to talk about. It's Mark Andrews.
That's the one I personally want to talk about.
He's really the only one in the top.
Max Williams, apparently? No, we're not talking about Max Williams.
Max Williams. Don't go anywhere near him. All right, let's talk about...
It's Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews. He's the guy, right? He was a rookie too this year, correct?
He was actually drafted after Hayden Hurst.
He's younger.
He's younger. Hayden Hurst is like 35 years old. No, he's not that old, but he was 25 this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mark Andrews, 23. He had a pretty decent year.
So my thing with him is we get a lot of the comparisons with Lamar Jackson to Mike Vick.
Mm.
And you remember the Mike Vick tight end, right? Who was that big dude he had?
Dude, I don't.
I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember.
I don't remember Mike Vick first throwing.
It wasn't. But he had one tight end that wasn't that great, but he's a big dude that could catch the ball, right?
Yeah,
wobble down there and catch the ball. Mark Andrews could be that because if Lamar Jackson's going to go with short passes, that's usually where you're going to look your tight end at.
I want no part of anybody catching the ball from Lamar Jackson. No one.
What about Le'Veon Bell if he goes? Because he said he's interested in the Ravens.
Nope. I'm telling you, dude, Lamar Jackson is not a consistent enough quarterback for me to want a piece of that offense. He's the polar opposite of Patrick Mahomes. You want any part of that Chiefs offense, any part of it that you can get. And I feel the exact opposite way about the Ravens offense. It's bad. Real bad.
Algie Crumpler. That was the dude's name. Old tight end. I remember being in Madden. You'd roll out with Vic.
He was a big dude.
Yeah, he was a big. That's what I'm saying. He was just a big dude. He got some good hands on him.
He was a very big guy.
But if there's any part of Baltimore you want, that's not the run game.
I
would say it'd be the tight end, but it's just still a streamer filler and see how it goes. Tight end's so gross, man. Like, I don't even want to talk about any of these other guys.
No, I don't either.
I don't want to talk about Nick Vanette. I don't want to talk about Ricky Seals-Jones. I mean, Antonio Gates, we shouldn't have to talk about him, right?
No, this is pretty much it for our positional breakdown.
You brought up Greg Olsen. What about Ian Thomas, the Carolina guy who took over for him?
I like him in Dynasty.
If Cam's there. I need Cam healthy. That's the only way I want anything to do with these Carolina pass catchers is a healthy Cam.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I would rather – Ian Thomas is a snatch and hold kind of thing. He's not really one of those guys you want to just –
Does anybody want to hold on to a tight end?
No, I'm saying not for redraft, no, but for Dynasty, yeah. I think he's a great Dynasty asset, but you can keep him next year in redraft. Neither one of these Carolina.
Pick a guy 15 through 22.
15 through 22?
Yeah, that you would have on your team. If that's where, like, you're drafting late tight end, and you're probably going to take one of these guys. I should have said 17 to 22 to really throw you off.
Because I was going to say Jordan Reed probably.
Or Chris Herndon, right?
No, not Chris Herndon. Jordan Reed is my top out of that. And then after that.
It's Jordan Reed, Chris Herndon, Mark Andrews, CJ Uzama, Cameron Brate, Dallas Goedert, Benjamin Watson, and Gerald Everett.
It ain't good.
Yeah, and this is probably what you're taking if you're streaming tight ends.
You
might be down here. Because I know in some of our leagues we've seen people take 2 tight ends before me and you grab a tight end.
Jerks. Just jerks. Yeah, no, I don't want any part of any of these guys. If you start seeing your guys jump off the board, you better snatch one up.
Yeah, and I think we say wait on tight end. And maybe it isn't bad to take a 3rd or 4th round pick on one of these big guys.
But whenever you see Hooper and Rudolph go, you better start jumping. And you better grab someone.
Would you be willing to take Kelsey? Or we kind of did that in our podcast league. We didn't come back with the wide receivers that we needed to.
So,
but the guys that were on the board that we thought about taking, I think Ertz outdid all of them.
So absolutely, and I've actually really thought about this based on what happened in our redraft league, and
because you got lucky with Eric Ebron, you made a trade for Eric Ebron before he blew
up.
No,
not in redraft.
Oh, not in redraft. Who did you have in redraft?
In redraft, I used a combination of Trey Burton and like Cameron Brate.
Oh, that's right.
It wasn't good. I did trade for Ebron in Dynasty.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. But in my tight ends, everyone's tight end situation was crap. The problem is that I missed on my 3rd round pick. And whenever you do that, this is about the range you're going to have to take one of these top guys. So,
would you rather go for a sure-footed Kelsey or Ertz or a question mark?
It was LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, LaShawn McCoy.
See, I thought you think you're getting something solid in the 3rd round anyway.
But the problem is LaShawn McCoy's not going to be a 3rd round pick this year. It's going to be somebody else you're going to think is going to be solid.
Absolutely.
And you're going to be like, ooh. Like, would you rather have one of these guys and like Tariq Cohen?
Yeah.
Bring up another running back?
Absolutely.
Because I think running backs probably are going to go really fast next year, even faster than they went the year prior.
It just scares me, dude. I understand the logic behind it, but to go and take a tight end with one of my top 3 picks, it makes me very nervous.
It does, because you can't miss on your first 2 picks or your 3 picks. Let's say you take one in the 4th round. Let's say you go get Ertz or Kittle. Those 3 need to be solid starters. Because chances are you're gonna lose out if you go running back, tight end. That wide receiver landscape is going to be rough.
Yeah, and that's why you have to be at the back of the draft too. Like if you're going to be in the beginning of it, like round picks 1 through 6-ish or 1 through 5, you can't do that strategy. It won't work like at all because the wide receivers that'll fall to you on the back, you're just gonna have nothing, dude.
Yeah, because we talked about these guys being top 15 wide receivers.
Yeah, so it's.
I mean, even Jared Cook was a 23 wide receiver. So
yeah, the only reason that it worked is like for me is I held out for Julian Edelman and then I patched some guys together and I got Ty in the back end of the 4th because I was like the 9th pick. So that's the way that it worked for me.
You
and
might
I got
be able to
lucky.
get you a Rams wide receiver, but I even think all 3 of those guys next year are going to go pretty fast.
Yeah,
Cooper Kupp probably the last one on the board because he was hurt last year and people may be a little weary of it. But I still think those guys all go in the top 6 rounds.
yeah, absolutely. I agree with
Brandon
that.
Cooks has a name. Robert Woods had the year last year. And
You're just playing with fire. I mean, if you can build a successful team, I mean, that's the goal anyway, is to build a good team. But
I mean, I can talk, like, other than last year, 2 years prior to that, I had Kelsey and I had Jimmy Graham on his big touchdown year. It's nice when you have a set it and forget it tight end.
yeah, which is what I thought I had in Trey Burton. And that
Yeah.
really, that sucked.
But when you don't, and you're playing like, oh, God, I need you to give me 8 points.
Whenever
If
you're
you're excited for 8 points.
And I think that's really the only reason that it worked for me this year is because it was such a down year for tight ends. Like if you had,
Because I even had Jared Cook, and it really didn't. It helped me a few weeks, but not really when I needed it to.
yeah,
Because it's so up and down.
which is amazing considering that scoring and passing and everything was at like an all-time high this season. Completion percentage went through the roof because everyone was throwing short plays, but for whatever reason, tight ends suffered.
Well, we talked about it I think we kind of said it on this show. Not many teams use the tight end. Philadelphia with Carson Wentz uses the tight end. Kansas City uses it. San Fran used it like crazy. Indy and Oakland used it. Other than that, the other teams, it's a 3rd option, 4th option.
Even 5th sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Dallas doesn't even, their tight ends are all in there to block.
Yeah, gross.
So I think that's the biggest problem here is that a lot of these tight ends are staying in a block and you're seeing a little more max protection.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. Anything else you want to add? Anybody else you want to talk about?
No, I think we're good. I mean, next year I think you got to hit on one of these guys.
Hunter Henry would probably be a guy you can get late.
With Hunter Henry coming back next year, I expect some of these guys to jump next year. I think you do need a tight end. With every Gronk falling off, there's going to be a Hunter Henry that steps up, maybe. Maybe not to
If
that
you could get
scale.
Gronk in the 7th round, would you take him in the 7th?
No.
Okay.
I think if you get Gronk on your team is cursed.
Would you rather
It's
have,
poison.
let's say Hooper and Rudolph go, but Gronk is still sitting out there? You said you got Jeff on top. Would you take him as the tight end, or are you rolling the dice on Trey Burton again?
Of course you're going to take him.
Or are you going to roll the dice on Trey Burton again?
I like Trey Burton.
I know, but we've at least seen Gronk do it.
Yeah, we have. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're
And
going
he has enough name that if he has one good game, you could trade the crap out of him.
Yeah.
All you need is one game. It's like,
I know, but I don't feel good about this. I really do feel like when teams take him, they're poisoned.
well, that's because people have been taking him like 2nd round. Let's all be honest about it. They've been taking him like 1st or 2nd round.
Yeah, and I
And
still
we're talking about Kelsey, who was a top 10 wide receiver, not taking him in the 3rd round.
Yep. I agree. I don't like it. Prove me wrong. I don't like it.
All right. Next week will be kickers. No, I don't think so.
No, we're not doing that. I don't know what we're going to do yet next week, but we're doing something. We'll have a show for you.
Of course we are. I don't want to get to rookies yet, but DJ Metcalf, man, that dude looks amazing.
That dude is so huge. There's no way he's a wide
He
receiver.
makes me want to be a better man.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be, yeah. Okay. All right. So, anyway, is there anything else?
No.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Empty Wagon Fantasy Football Podcast. Hit us up on Instagram at Empty Wagon Pod. Hit us up on Twitter, Empty Wagon FF, at Tack Jones and at FF Josh Hughes. We love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Later.
Bye.